Hello all. In this set of videos, I'll be covering an introduction to C programming. As we all know, C programming is very important because after learning C, we are getting a very strong base for programming and we can proceed with any other programming language, C++, Java, Python for whatever language we need to learn, it's easy. So we can start with C programming. And also for electronic students, when we do microcontroller programming, embedded programming, or for programming hardwares in robotics, etc., we all need the basics of this C programming. So in these set of videos, I will be covering more C programs related to each topic. Theory will be less and I will be concentrating more on how to write programs by yourself. So just minimum theory will be included and more emphasis will be given for programming or coding. So just an introduction, it is a very popular, most popular computer language, that is C programming, and it's a structured high-level language and it follows a top-down approach. For example, if you have a problem, that is you need to add two numbers, then it's a structured programming style. That means we first have to define two numbers and second step we add using the plus operator, then you get the result and then you print the result like that. And this C programming language was developed in 1972 by Dennis Ritchie. It's a very efficient and fast coding language and it is supported in all the operating systems and hardwares, and lots of compilers are available also. And for this video series I will be using Dev C++. That compiler you can download freely. It is Dev C++. That compiler is used for teaching the programs here. To start with, you have a character set. Just like any other language, you need some letters. For learning a language, you need some letters. Just like that, for a programming language, you need to know the character set, which all characters can be used for this programming language. First is letters. Uppercase letters, capital letters A to Z, then lowercase letters, small letters A to Z. Then digits from 0 to 9, then special characters you see in the keyboard, comma, then full stop, colon, semicolon, exclamation mark, all these characters can also be used. Then white space characters like space, tab, etc. All these characters constitute the character set for C language. Then another term called token. Tokens are the smallest individual units in a program. And the five major tokens are: one is identifiers, second is keywords, third is constants, then strings and other symbols. And first we will learn what these two words mean, that is identifiers and keywords. For any programming language this is very important. Some words are called identifiers and some others are called keywords. The difference is that keywords have a specific meaning. That meaning is already defined. So, for example, if I say int means it represents an integer type data. So, if I say int, that means it already has a meaning. Such words are called keywords. Whereas identifiers means they are the names given for the various variables. For example, if I need to add two numbers in a program, I need two variables, say A and B. Then to store the result, I need one more variable, say C. Then I have three variables, A, B and C. So I need to give names for these variables. Those names are called identifiers. That is given by the user or by the programmer, so that it does not have any specific meaning. We can just give the names for various identifiers. But one thing you should remember is keywords already have a specific meaning. So keywords must not be used as identifiers. That thing we should remember. So prior to coding, you need to know the various keywords, and when you define identifiers, you make sure that the particular identifier is not a keyword or it does not have a specific meaning given earlier. Okay. And coming to identifiers, it refers to the name given to a variable or a function. And for giving an identifier, following things we should remember. Identifier name it can have letters, digits, or underscore. Underscore is normally treated as a letter, and because of that, underscore also can be included in identifier name. Then the first character should be a letter or an underscore. It should not be a digit. The first character, it should not start with a digit. It should start either with a letter or underscore. And letter means it can either be capital letter or small letter. Then no special characters should be used. Only underscore is allowed to be used because underscore is considered as a character, and comma, full stop, colon, such symbols cannot be used in identifier names. So these are the general things which we should remember when we give a name for a variable or which is called an identifier. So this thing you should remember. So one thing is keyword should not be used as an identifier, and when you give a name in general, you should remember these three things. Special characters should not be used, then it can contain three things: letters, digits, or underscore. And the starting should either be a letter or an underscore. It should not start with a digit. Just by remembering these simple rules, you can define you can give a name for a variable or say a function. And the most important, keyword should not be used as an identifier. So by now you know the difference between the two uh, tokens, that is keywords and identifiers. Identifiers does not have a specific meaning that is defined by the user, whereas keyword has a specific meaning and it's already defined in the language. So keyword is a reserved word that has a particular meaning in the programming language. The meaning is already predefined. Okay, and it cannot be used as an identifier in C language, and 32 keywords are defined, and I won't suggest you to by heart all this. You just learn programming, and uh, after some few days you will automatically remember all these keywords. So just randomly I will explain. Int stands for integer type, then float stands for floating type. For example, if I need to give a variable name for representing temperature. Temperature, you cannot say that you cannot define it as an integer number. So in that case, if the identifier name given is temp, you can write float temp. Okay, so this is the data type float. This is a keyword. Okay, if I say float A, then A is the identifier and float will be the keyword, because float is used to represent the data type. That is a keyword. So like that, even if it's not clear, you don't have to bother. When we go through various programs, it will be very clear. Okay, now coming to variable declaration and initialization. So first thing is int age. This means that int, that is the data type, it is a keyword because it's already defined. So int, that is the data type, and age is the variable name. Instead of age, I can give A or B or age 1. You can give any other name. So this is an identifier. This is a keyword. So this is called variable declaration. I am declaring a variable of type integer. Okay, and initialization means this is just declaration. Initialization means I am giving an initial value for this variable. That is shown here. Int age is equal to 20. So this is called variable initialization. I am initializing the value of the variable age with the 20. Okay, so this is data type. This is a keyword, and variable name, that is age. This is an identifier. This is a keyword. This is an identifier, and you are initializing it with a value 20. This is a constant. Okay, so here you know that age, we say the age only as an integer. I'll say 20 or 25 or 30. We won't normally say 25.56. If it's a temperature, we need we need decimal points also. So we use the keyword float instead of int, because we cannot completely describe a temperature as an integer. So if the variable is temp, what you will write? We will write float temp is equal to say 98.76 like that. So instead of int, we will be using float, and variable name or this identifier can be anything. But for understandability, it's better to give the name somewhat that conveys a meaning. That's completely depending on the programmer or the user. Okay, there is no strict rule regarding that, but it's better if you are representing a variable for temperature, it's better to give some meaningful variable name so that it will be more understandable. Next, comments. You have a provision to add comments in the programs. That is also to increase the understandability of the program. For example, if I am writing a program, maybe after 2 weeks, I am taking the program for editing, for adding one more function. I need to be familiar what all I have written. So for that, you can add comments for each sections. Or if another programming is coming to edit a program that is already written, for that person also he needs to know the program. So to increase the understandability, we can give proper comments. And for a single line comment, what you need is you can give two forward slashes. If you write like this, after that two slashes, whatever you write is a comment, and it is not executed by the compiler. And if you have many line comments, then what you should do is you should start with slash star and end with the star slash, so that in between these two, whatever you write is taken as a comment and it will not be executed. Okay. Now let's really start the programming. One thing you should remember is each C program, each statement should end with a semicolon, and there are exceptions, and that I will be discussing at that time. Generally, statement should end with a semicolon. For example, int a, this is a variable declaration. Int a, int is a keyword and a is an identifier. Int a, you are declaring a variable and it is ending with a semicolon. Next is an assignment operation. You have two values for b and c, and you are saying that the variable a should have the sum of the values of b and c. So a is equal to b plus c. A, b and c, all these three will be variables. Again, that variable assignment statement that is ending with a semicolon. Again, another thing which you should remember is execution starts with a main function. So now you don't know what a function is, just learn this word. There's something called main, and function is represented by this bracket. Okay, so main function means we pronounce it as a main function. Function is represented by this bracket, and whatever is written within this main function is the real code, or compiler executes that part. And every program must have a main function because execution happens inside that main function. Okay, I will explain this with a very simple code. And here it is written void main function, and this void is optional. I will explain what this void is maybe later, but now you just remember you can either write main function or you can write void main function. You can write it either ways, and after that you start this curly bracket, and after that what you write, that is the real code. So here I am writing printf. Let's start C programming. So printf is the keyword used for printing something. So printf in the bracket and within the quotes, whatever you write will be printed directly. Okay, so this is a very simple program, and this can be understood in a better way if we do it in a compiler. And for this lecture series, I will be using a compiler called Dev C++, and you can download it easily. And you can, if you want to learn the programming, you can do the programs in parallel. So this is Dev C++ compiler, and to start a coding, you take file, new, source file. Okay, it's clear. File, new, source file, and a blank screen is open, and I am explaining how to write a very simple program. First is you can include a header file, hash include. When you start the angle bracket, automatically the closing bracket will come. It depends on the compilers. and I am including a header file, say stdio.h. This header file is used for including the input and output comments which is needed for our program. So hash include stdio.h. I am including a header file. So for your understanding, if I need to write something, I can write it as a comment. For writing comment, it is you put double slash. That means after that double slash, whatever you write, it is not compiled by the compiler. So that's a comment. I am including a header file. Okay. Next, I am starting the main function. When I open the curly bracket, automatically the closing bracket will come. So whatever is written inside this bracket will be executed. So I am repeating what all I told earlier because now it's more clear to understand. I started by adding a header file. Let this be hash include stdio.h. So I am adding a header file called stdio.h so that printf will be printf is included in stdio.h. So I am adding the header file. Then I started the main function and whatever is written inside this bracket will be executed. Okay, that is the real code. And in the first program, I just have to print welcome to C programming. So the keyword used is printf and in brackets in double quotes, whatever you write will be printed. So say welcome to C programming. Hope it's clear. And every statement should end with a semicolon. So I end it with a semicolon. And now I have to save this program. File, save as, in a folder say C programs. Here you have save as type. So you have to give C source file itself. You can write programs in both C and CPP in this compiler. So you have to take it when you save it, where you have to save as .c file. C++ files the extension is CPP. Here it is .c and let's give it as trial1. So this program, the code, this file name is trial1.c. .c shows that it is a C file. Now to execute it, in execute, first you have to compile to check if there is any error. There is no error. If there is any error, it will be shown here. So there is no error. So first you compiled and now you can run. Hope you can see the output. It is welcome to C programming. Okay, so this is the output. You can close it and you can modify. Welcome to C programming. Let's learn C together. Okay, I'm giving it again and again I have to save the file again so that the modifications are saved and then again I am compiling and running. Compile and run. Welcome to C programming. Let's learn C together. It's written together. If I need it in 2 lines, I can use the new line operator. It is /n. Okay. If you use /n, that means after /n, what you write will come in the next line. So again, I am saving to make the changes in the file and I am compiling and running. Now you can see that welcome to C programming is the first line and in the next line only, let's learn C together is coming. So /n means what is the use of /n? After /n, whatever you write will get printed in the next line. Okay, so now what I tried to convey is this is a basic structure of a C program. You first include header file, then you have a main function, and in between this bracket, whatever you write is the code that is getting executed. And this is just a single line code to print something. Okay, and this is done in Dev C++ compiler. And this is the basic format of a C program. So in print function, as we saw just now, it is used to print something. So whatever you write in between the double quotes will be printed. And the next thing is, in this example, printf header. So the output will be directly shown because in between those double quotes, whatever you write will be printed. But for example, if I need to print a particular integer, that integer value you can give only separately. Okay, So for that, we use format specifier. That means you have to specify the format within the quotes, and after closing the quotes and a comma, we write what is to be printed. So only the format is specified within the quotes. That's why it is called a format specifier. For an integer, it is percentage %d. And there are various format specifiers. Say for character, you give percentage %c. For integer, you give percentage %d. For float, you give percentage %f. Then long integer. These three are the main things you should remember. Character percentage %c, integer percentage %d, and float percentage %f. Then the last ones for string, you use percentage %s. Okay, you should remember this. They are called format specifiers for specifying the format of a particular data. And I think this will be more clear if I give you a program. Again, to take a new file, what I have to do, file, new, source file, and I'm typing first is hash include stdio.h, after that main function. And now I'm going to write the program. Say int number of students in a class is number, int num is equal to 20, and I have to print this, print f within double quotes the number of students is. Now I have to give the value of num here. So num is an integer, so I give the format specifier as percentage %d, and after double quotes I put a comma and write num. Okay, and then every statement should end with a semicolon. Now I am saving it. Save as type.c, and then I'll give the name as trial2.c. Okay, now I am compiling it. There is no error, and when I run it, now the number of students is 20. Hope you can see the output. Number of students is 20. So what is the use of giving like this? If I write 20 inside, it will be printed like that. But what is the problem? That does not make any sense, because this is a variable which needs to be altered. If when we write a program, that's a variable that is of some importance. This is not a two-line code. So when the number of students is varied to say 100, I will change only the value here. Automatically the print should change. So I can only give like this. So now if I save the code and if I print it, you can see that the number of students is 100. It is automatically altered. The value of that num is shown here. Okay, so num type is integer, so the format specifier is percentage %d. For example, I want to print temperature, which is a float. Okay, it needs decimal value. So float temp to represent temperature is equal to say 98.5678, and ending with a semicolon. And again I'm doing the same thing. Printf in double quotes I write. So this should be printed in a new line. So I give /n. Temperature is, I have to print temp. So here I should not write temp. Instead what I should write? The format specifier. It is percentage %f. Okay, and after closing the double quotes I put comma, and then I will write which value should be printed, that is temp, and the statement should end with a semicolon. Okay, hope it is clear. Here percentage %d is the format specifier for integer, and percentage %f is the format specifier for floating point. Now I save the file and I will compile and run. There is no error, and so it's compiled. Number of students is 100, temperature is 98.5678. Hope it's clear. So percentage %d is for integer and percentage %f is for float. Instead, if I write if I write like this, /and temperature is temp, what will happen? Temp as such will be printed, which makes no sense. You can check this. The temperature is temp. The variable name is stored here. Variable name itself is printed here, which makes no sense. So you have to write like this. Percentage F is 4. And after this you put a comma. Okay, now it's clear. Now some small things which you should remember. In percentage point 2f, if I give like this, that means after decimal point 2 more digits will be shown. If I write percentage dot 3f, that means after decimal point 3 more digits will be shown. So it's everything is more clear if I explain with a program. That's why I will follow this method. So here you have 4 digits after the decimal point. I need only 2 digits after this. So in format specifier, I write percentage dot 2f. This means that the format specifier shows that here you have to print a decimal value, and after decimal point only 2 digits need to be printed. That is shown by this. Okay, now again I am saving the code and I am executing, compile and run. You can see it is 98.57. After the decimal point, only 2 digits are shown. Instead, if I write here 0.3, after decimal point, 3 digits will be shown. So again, I am saving the code and compile and run. Now you can see that after the decimal point, now there are 3 digits. Okay, so I hope these things are clear. So coming back, so these are basics of format specifier. So if you want to print a string, you give percentage %s. All this will be covered later. Now just an introduction to various things. So this is the importance of format specifier. And if I write percentage %d is for integer, percentage %5d means the spaces are added prior to 24 because it is expecting 5 digits. So the field width is 5. If I say percentage %5d, for example, if I need to give a say some register numbers with 6 digits, I can give percentage %6d like that. Okay, then percentage %5d means the field width is 5. So even if the digits are only 24, 3 spaces is provided before. Then 7.2f is the same thing. Percentage f shows that it is a floating point or a decimal value, and dot 2 means 2 digits after the decimal point, and 7 shows that field width is 7. Okay, hope all these are clear. And another thing which you should remember is this whole thing is case sensitive. That means small letters and capital letters are treated separately. If I write printf in compiler, only that has a meaning. If you type it in full capital letters, it will not be taken. It will be shown as error. Just like that, when you define identifier also, when you give the name as say, here I give it as num, and here accidentally I give it as capital letters num. I save it, and if I run, you can see that there is an error. Num is undeclared because capital letter num and small letter num are different. So it is case sensitive. So if you are giving small letters, you have to give it in small letter itself. So this we should remember that C programming language, it is case sensitive. So whether it is keyword or identifier, capital letters and small letters are considered separately, and you should remember that all the keywords are small letters. Okay, int, float, printf, everything is small letters. We generally need not use capital letters. And then I will wind up the first video. So what we tried to cover was, I explained the character set in C language, then the C tokens, which includes keywords, identifiers, constants, strings, character, special symbols, etc. Then the difference between keywords and identifiers, then main function where the execution takes place, then a basic C program, how to print something, and then how to use a printf function to print something. And other than some codes, if you need to print a value, how to print it, that was also discussed. And different format specifiers also we have covered. will continue in the next one. Thank you.